Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Unless you're listening on Wednesday morning, happy November
Post-Halloween.
1st. But if you're watching on YouTube, happy
This comes
Halloween.
out on Halloween.
What will we be doing on Halloween when this comes out? Trick or treating.
Yes. I forgot.
With your family.
With my family.
With the little kiddos.
That's correct.
Are you dressing up?
Likely no.
Fair.
Are you?
I was thinking about going as the Onceler from the Lorax because I have that long green trench coat.
I don't know what that is.
What? But I don't have a top hat, so if I do that, I need to buy a top hat.
I think if I have dressed up the past couple of years, I just feel dumb because I don't have any children, and I'm just like,
If I dress up, you can dress up. You could dress up as Jeff Probst again.
I don't think I have those. I don't have khakis anymore. No, I do.
Okay. You could do that, or you could do Prison Mike.
But I've done that.
Do you think the kids will remember?
I think the past 2 years I did Prison Mike and then Date Mike. Those are pretty fun. But
You should do another
the kids don't
Mike.
get it.
The kids don't get
The
it.
kids
They
don't
don't
get it.
Get it.
They don't appreciate
don't
it
get
for
the
what it
peak
is.
comedy that
Even
it
adults
is.
don't appreciate it.
They
They're like, "What are you?"
don't.
And I'm like,
One of my
I don't even want to. You don't even
Exactly.
deserve me telling you what
One of
I
my
am.
favorite costumes that I dressed up as was, and I went to your family's house and they didn't get it, was I dressed up as Billy Eichner from Billy on the Streets. And I had like the
Oh,
microphone
that's
and I
good.
was just running around yelling and no one got it, which was a huge bummer because
think
I
I
love Billy Eichner.
I'm not like huge into costumes, but I like those like really niche specific. But it does suck because then not everyone.
Yeah,
is
not
gonna,
everyone gets it,
like,
but I do think they're way funnier.
I think they're when it's like when you do it well. That's why I think like doing subtle things from the off. Like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna dress up as Dwight Schrute. I'm gonna dress
like,
up
that's
as
aggressive.
like as like a niche character that's
Yeah.
like in one episode.
Yeah, like Creed Bratton
Yeah.
when he
Dyes his hair.
or like on Halloween when he has the blood splatters.
yes.
So something real niche. Those are the funnier costumes.
But I don't think I
In my
will
mind.
because I don't even know when
You have work on Tuesday,
I do have work on Tuesday.
so go as a nurse.
No.
That's fair. So today, because it's Halloween, we are gonna do some spooky stories at the latter part of this episode.
Some real
but first,
real spooky stories.
real spooky stories. Yeah, they are real spooky
Not
stories.
like fake.
They're not made up. But first, it is 1989 day. Why I'm wearing a blue little blazer and I'm wearing my Taylor Swift shirt with the 1989 girl right there. The blue lights. It's 1989 day and I loved it. So I'm assuming you have not yet listened.
No.
That's fair. Well, let me talk about it just a little
Yes.
bit. So
Release the Kraken.
it's my day. I could feel my powers growing stronger last night. So I stayed up and listened last night because she dropped the album at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time because it was whatever. That irrelevant to the story.
I think that's irrelevant in general.
I do.
Like the
Thank
time
you.
zones. What are we doing?
I would agree. That's a fair point. So she released 5 vault songs. One is called Slut, then Say Don't Go, Now That We Don't Talk, Suburban Legends, and Is It Over Now? Okay. 5 great vault track songs. Honestly, I think maybe her best vault tracks
Oh.
of all of her re-records.
Okay.
We thought Slut would be like a pop banger. It's not.
It's not.
It is actually a sad song, and it's basically saying she will be called a slut if it means she can still be in love with you. Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
Because like back in the day when this album came out, it was like when everyone was like, oh, Taylor Swift, blah, blah, blah. She's like the worst. She dates everybody.
Oh.
She's like, I will take those name callings if it means I still get to be like in love and with you.
Whoa.
So that one won about Harry Styles. Say Don't Go, I will say also Harry Styles coded. Now That We Don't Talk, uberly Harry Styles coded. But I'm here to talk about Is It Over Now? Because I think that might be maybe one of her best diss tracks.
Oh.
Drags him through the mud on that song.
I'm shocked you like that.
I know. And I think it's because I'm an adult now. I can appreciate it for what it is. I think, thank God she didn't drop it back in 2014. Otherwise,
You would have hated
I
her.
would have hated her.
For
I would
life.
have literally, yeah. So now
The
I think
trajectory of your life would have been drastically different.
it would have. I think it's funny because I saw a comparison where it was like, no, it's like I'm literally a child of divorce, and mom like kept things away from like what dad did until I'm old enough to understand, and she's ready to tell me the truth. So that was crazy. It's really good. Highly recommend listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a part where they talk about the snowmobile accident that she went through. She talks about how after they broke up, he started dating a girl that looks just like her. And she uses like, I took a screenshot of the lyrics because I didn't want to mess this up. Didn't want to mess up my one and only shot here. Didn't want to do that. She says, when you lost control, red blood, white snow, blue dress on a boat, your new girl is my clone. Crazy. Because he was the one driving the snowmobile when they got in the accident. And so red blood, white snow, you lost control. That's the snowmobile accident. Next
I didn't
line,
even know that happened.
Yeah, he had to get stitches on his chin. Mm-hmm.
Did she have anything?
No, she was fine.
I'm actually picturing right now when I think it's Kanye West and Kim were on the jet ski, and do you know what I'm talking about? That's what I'm picturing.
Fair. That's good. And then the line, blue dress on a boat, he like leaves her alone on a boat on a yacht where she's like sitting by herself, and there's like media articles that are now resurfacing because of this line where she's just like sitting on a boat like by herself with like her hands in her, but she's wearing a blue dress because he like left. And then the girl he dated right after looks just like her. And then in one of the later lines she says, at least I had the decency to keep my nights out of sight. Only rumors about my hips and thighs. Isn't that so sad? Because she was getting like fat shamed during this time, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, she's gaining all this weight. And his was like, oh, he's like dating, and like everyone was like praising it, and she was like going through it. And so crazy lyrics.
Whoa.
And then one of the craziest lines is, you search in every model's bed for something greater.
Oh,
crazy. Absolute drug Harry Styles through the mud. And that's fine because I am a Harry girl first and foremost. Yeah. I am a diehard Harry fan. But, I mean, guys probably played around a bit back in the day. Now he's totally different. He's the best. But I will be a Harry stan forever and always. And Taylor. So.
Man, that is weird when two of your biggest are like.
It is weird, but they're friends now. Like, they chat.
After that song?
Friends. Well, she wrote this back in 2014.
Yeah, but.
And she just released it. I'm sure she told him.
I would hope so.
And probably showed it to him. At least they talk and they seem cordial at the award shows. And, like, they'll go over and chat with one another.
Yeah, it's just tough when something like that gets released to the media. Like, all of us.
Yeah.
Like, savages, because.
I agree.
He probably will get drugged.
But I also don't think so because everybody who loves her loves him for the most part. So I feel like it's kind of a mutual understanding.
We'll see, I guess.
And he's different than Jake Gyllenhaal and John Mayer. They were both like predatory. She was like a child. This one, they were both like the same age. And they were both just two young pop artists in the media late.
Sounds pretty bad though.
Yeah, but... I feel like he was fine. He didn't do anything too crazy.
Yeah.
It's not like, But that's all my own thoughts. And so, highly recommend. I think this is one of her best re-records. People are a little angry because it sounds different than her original, but I think it sounds better.
Oh,
sounds stronger. I don't know. Her vocals are a lot more, I would say, she uses a lot less of her head voice in the re-record than she did in the original.
I thought she would sound the most different from like her first one.
I mean, she hasn't done Taylor Swift yet.
Yeah, but
I feel like Fearless, she didn't go high, like poppy sounds, and I think that's why you couldn't tell it was all that different because she didn't do the weird vocal ranges as she did in the original 1989. If that makes any sense. Does it? I don't know. Do I know what I'm talking about? Not really when it comes to the actual music side of things, but I think she sounds great. Music's great. Highly recommend. I'm still a little delusional in the fact that she might be releasing more 1989.
Because you want Harry.
Yes, but there's also been a lot of signs. But I won't go into that because that is just too hard to explain to you right now, I feel like. But I do think potentially in the next week or two, we're going to get 5 more vault tracks. And they're all going to be features. And it's going to include Selena Gomez, the Haim sisters, potentially Lorde, Jack Antonoff, and maybe Harry Styles. Because there's been a lot of clues about a double drop.
Like what? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it. Let's get into it, Asia. So, a lot of clues because of the colors that have been around the album. There's been a lot of black themes, and we knew from the past that after Red, she was in kind of a rock era. Mm-hmm. And so people are thinking it's going to be a rock double vault track drop. And there's a lot of like coordinating blue and black colors when she was like writing and posting like lyrics on her stories. Also, I would think it's only a double album drop because in the Man music video, there's a sign with all of her albums graffitied on the wall. And 1989 is on there twice. Oh. And so everyone's kind of like, is she doing a double album drop for 1989? And so, and then yesterday she posted on Taylor Nation, her Instagram account, that some things never go out of style. And it was pictures of Selena Gomez and the Haim sisters back in 2014. And then pictures of them now with Taylor. So I'm like, what a random, why would they post that? Like those people. And so I think there's something more coming. I also think she has super underplayed this re-record and re-release. Like she has not been posting about it like all of the other re-releases. I think it's just been like under the radar. And arguably this is her biggest album re-release.
Is it really?
1989, I would say, out of her first 6 albums, got the most awards, had the most singles for sure, was the biggest one of all of her first 6 albums. So in my mind, it would be the biggest re-record release party. And I just feel like she has not acknowledged it very much. So that's my thoughts. If by Tuesday there are re-releases.
So that you think there's going to be 5 more?
Yes.
For a total of 10?
Mm-hmm. 10 vault tracks.
That's a lot.
I just feel like 5 is too little. Like I would think, because this is also the album where she switched from country to pop, she would have way more in the archives for this album.
How many vault tracks were for the other ones?
So Fearless had, I believe, 6. Okay. And then Red had 7.
Oh,
and then plus 2 other songs that were originally hers, but she didn't like put on that album. She had other artists record them. So Red had like 9 or 8 or 9. And so Red had the most. And then Speak Now did only have, I think, 6. But 1989 won Album of the Year for the Grammys back in the day. So I would just think, and she loved this album. I mean, it had Bad Blood, Shake It Off, Blank Space, Style, and Wildest Dreams. Those were all 5 huge singles.
They were.
At the time. So it's her most, I would say, successful album, quote unquote, before like, I guess, Midnights and her current stuff. But back then. Man. A lot for you to sit with.
Yeah, she's a lot for me in the best way.
I was going to say, you did see the movie last week.
I did see the movie.
What are your thoughts on the movie?
The movie was good. I don't think anyone can deny she puts on a good show.
Yeah.
So.
What was your favorite part? Asia was really into it, so I don't know why she's playing it off. Like, she was like, no, it was, like, fine.
No, I don't mean that. I don't mean to put that off. I did enjoy it. Like I said, I enjoyed it. She puts on a great show. I think it's tough because my favorite albums of hers are Folklore and Evermore.
Yeah.
They're just, like, not the funnest to, like, watch live. So, like, Reputation, obviously, is, like, so fun to watch live, and she does great. But I wasn't a Taylor Swift girl.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I don't think I would consider myself one. But, so like all of the albums before Folklore and Evermore, like I'm not well acquainted with, because when she put out Folklore, I was like, oh, this is my vibe. Like I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my start. But they were really, like, she did great live. They were great. But Reputation probably took it.
I think everyone would agree. Everyone as a consensus would agree.
Yeah.
But all right, now we can end the Taylor Swift vibe. After this, I am going to a listening party. We're going to listen. It's going to be fun. And so we will transition now into our spooky story time. Do you want to start with your spooky story time?
Yeah, I can start with.
Asia loves spooky stories. I'm not always a big spooky
I've really
story fan,
really been, like, more than any other year, really been into, like, scary. Like, I have been listening to Scary Story podcasts, I think, for the last month.
Whoa.
Like, and probably no other. That's weird for me, because usually I'm like, I gotta tame it down. But
fair enough.
So this is fun because this is a real one, and I like berated this person to send it to me.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It's a good story.
Yeah, okay. Let's get it started. Okay. Have you ever had that chilling feeling that someone is watching you? I had this feeling when I was a young teenager, and here's my story. We lived way out in the country on 36 acres of cornfields and woods. Gross. I hate that.
So much space.
Yeah, that's like, it's so dark and eerie.
Yeah.
I don't like corn mazes because it's eerie. I don't know what's out there, and I will get lost.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyways, about a mile behind my house in the woods was my special place, my treehouse. That's so cute. It was tucked way back in the woods, and the dark green paint made it hide well within all the trees. This brisk fall day, I made my way on my dirt bike down the long, thin road with cornfields on both sides of me to the woods where my special hiding place was. I climbed up the 10-foot ladder, opened the door, and sat on the comfy bench that was inside. It was very cozy, and with carpeting on the floor, paneling on the wall, and a window peering out onto the creek. Oh my gosh, sounds
lovely.
Like Bridge to Terabithia, kind of. Like, not the dark part of that, but like, so fun.
Sounds delightful.
This place held all my special things. I had a box of love letters and notes from friends. Aww. This was the home of all my diaries, and my favorite posters were hung all over the walls for decoration. I loved coming out here, but this day felt different. I felt like I wasn't alone and kept looking out the window, but saw nothing. At one point, I heard branches breaking, but tried to talk myself into that it was maybe a deer or some other animal. I couldn't shake the eerie feeling, so I finally quickly climbed back down the ladder and was hoping to God that my Honda 125 would start up so I could quickly leave. I made it back home and just tried to shrug off the whole thing, telling myself it was all in my head. A couple days later, I made my way back out there, but this time it was different. As I was approaching the treehouse, I couldn't read the keep out writing on the door because the door was open. Did I leave the door open last time? I proceeded up the ladder with my heart pounding, and when I peered inside, I was in shock. Someone had been there. My posters were torn down, my window was broken, and all my notes and papers were thrown all over. Needless to say, I got out of there as fast as I could with my mind racing and thoughts and thinking, was someone watching me the other day, and had someone been watching me for a while? Was that person still out there? Who did this, and where are they now?
No,
that's it. The end.
No, I would freak out. I would never have gone back.
I don't think I would gone back either.
No, that never needs to happen. It makes me nervous though because it feels like they would maybe know where she lived then too.
Yeah, to have like somebody, ew. It just feels like eerie, being far from home,
being far in the middle of basically nowhere, surrounded by like cornfields.
Like, what is anyone doing out there?
Watching you. I feel like that's the only logical thing.
What are you doing out here? Because I know what I'm doing out here.
Yeah.
Ew.
I would love to think that maybe it was someone she knew and they knew about that place. But like,
yeah.
And maybe in some weird world they were like mad and that's how they got revenge, that would be better than having it be like someone was just actively watching me in my treehouse in the middle of nowhere. I don't like that.
I don't like that at all. I think my mind would not shut up about that. Like, was it one of my friends? Was it not?
I wonder if they asked.
I'll have to ask her.
If they were like, hey, did you guys make it out?
Yeah.
Do you know of anyone that would want to do that?
I think I would, and even like as a kid, I was a scaredy cat anyway. But to like be alone out in the woods by myself anyway, I think I would feel weird.
That would freak me out. I don't think I ever would have done that.
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up sort of in a different age, but...
Yeah, that is also true.
Even just playing outside, I feel like by myself, I would sometimes be like, what was that?
Yeah,
and
I know.
I'd hear something. And
sometimes I'm like, that feeling of like somebody following you or watching you. Like, I'm like on my walk with my AirPods and listening to scary stories, and literally every 5 minutes I'm like, someone's behind me, someone's following me.
I feel like that's the worst, is I will be fine, and then if I just let even the smallest seed in my brain be like, oh my gosh, it'd be so crazy if someone was in my room, I'd be like, and then I like stop like dead in my tracks, and I'm like, someone's here.
I know. I do that too. I'm like, you know what would be so scary if like someone was outside my window right now,
and then I'm like,
and then I can't stop thinking about it, and then I'm like, oh, dang it, why did I think that? Or like because I have contacts or glasses, and so when I'm sleeping I don't have them on or in, and so you like look in the corner and you're like, yeah, that there's something there. There's that blurry black blob. It is something.
Like, so,
or the word Mose doesn't do it all the time, but sometimes he'll just like bark at something, or like, and I get so mad at him. I'm like, Mose, you can't do that to me. So fair. I'm like even in the shower, and I hear him barking, and I'm like, literally, Mose, we're not doing this.
That would terrify me.
Yeah. Doesn't happen all the time, but and it's usually nothing, but it's just the thought.
Yeah.
Like, I know he's barking at someone that's breaking into my house, and I'm helpless in the shower. Yeah. I'm gone. I'm literally gone.
Is your worst case scenario, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think it could get worse than that.
No.
I feel like sometimes in the middle of the night, I'll be woken up by a loud thud. Oh. It's happened like twice. I shouldn't say often or anything. But then I'm in my room, and my room's kind of in the back of like the apartment. And I just like sit there staring at my door. I'm like waiting. And then finally it's like 5 minutes. I'm like, I gotta go out there and check.
You go and check?
Yeah, I do. And
Good
then I go and I'm like just so alert.
Anything out here?
And
you're like the dad of the apartment.
Yeah, and then there's nothing there. I don't know what I heard. It probably was from outside.
Yeah.
Because I hear a lot of the outdoors, but I get so scared. Don't like it. I have another little story that I can read, a spooky story, and then I have potentially a real life one that happened to me. Okay. So this person says, this story may be spooky. I don't know. Y'all can be the judges of that. So one day I was coming home from school. I want to say it was around 3 p.m. Both of my parents had jobs at the time, so I knew they wouldn't be home. And my sister was at school or work, and so I knew she wasn't going to be home either. And it was just me and my dog at home. I was, of course, hungry after a long day of not paying attention in class. So I decided to cook some food. I was in my parents' house, and we were in the kitchen. And if you were in the kitchen at the stove cooking, you can see directly into their parents' room, and you could see their bed and the wall and everything kind of inside that room. And they closed their blinds, so it was pretty dark in there, but also dim enough where you could still see. So he was cooking, and he was facing down looking at his food, and all of a sudden when he looks up, he sees a shadowy human-like figure just walk past the doorway of his parents' room. And he says, I obviously got scared and my body goes fully cold, and I was for sure pale and sweating. I try to rationalize the situation. So I called my dad because sometimes he would come home early. So I thought maybe he was just in his room while I was cooking or something. But he says, I'm not home. I'm still working. He says, I immediately hung up the phone and stopped everything I was doing and just ran into my room with my dog, locked my door, and hid under the covers to protect myself. He's like, I don't know how I ended up being calm enough to go take a nap, but I did. And I woke up to everyone being home. To this day, I still don't know if I made it up or if it was potentially a ghost. I don't like that either. Ooh. I simply wouldn't care for that. I think I'd have to leave. I think I'd probably go somewhere else.
I definitely wouldn't be able to sleep.
No. You're just like locked in your room.
Okay.
My panic would be like set in so high. So I love that they didn't. They were able to talk themselves down.
That's
That's great.
That's good coping.
That is good coping.
Because
So,
I
would panic. I'd probably call my mom crying.
I would too. At least
I'm also
a dog.
a scaredy cat. I can't deal with stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna go.
I can't be here.
I can't be
but
here
if you're
right
like
now.
young, like what are you gonna do? Like if I was a young kid,
That's fair.
what would I do?
I'd probably almost put on something really happy to make me forget it.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd be like, no. Probably pray, actually. That too. I'd probably be like,
that.
But,
yeah.
My story that I can kind of tell is more true crime than I would say scary story, but it's spooky enough. So growing up, my family had a lawn business. Like my dad would cut lawns and we would always help. And so we had this client that lived down the street from us, and it was this lady. She owned this house and she lived just alone by herself. And so we knew her a little bit, and then we would mow her lawn, and then found out years later, we were driving by her house one day and there was yellow tape all around the house. And we were like, what on earth happened? We
feel like
definitely stopped mowing her lawn.
That is
for
the most
years by
curious
now.
I think I ever, like when there's something happening in
Yeah.
your neighborhood, you're like,
It
I
was
have to know.
Crazy. And so we were like, what happened? And it turns out she had died in her house. And we were like, oh, that's so sad. Like she was alone. And then we found out she was murdered in her home. And then it turned into what happened. And it was like,
Then you literally have to know.
And I grew up in a pretty small town, Idaho Falls, woo woo. And so it was the talk of the town, and nobody knew who had killed her. And so it was like all this press.
Was it on the news?
Yeah, she lived right down the street from us, so we would drive by her house every day. And so they ended up catching the guy, and it was this. I think he was 19. At the time, I do believe she's
old?
still in jail. Yeah, she was old. She was probably in her 70s, maybe 80s.
Oh my gosh!
And it turned out like she had kind of been scamming these old men, and she would date them and then like get them to change their wills at the end of their life and give her everything. And then so this kid, I guess it was his grandpa, who had died, and they were supposed to get all of it, and they didn't get any of it. And he was so mad. He took a baseball bat, broke into her house, and beat her to death with a baseball bat. And then he threw it in the canal by our house.
So dumb.
So they found it, obviously.
Yeah.
And he got caught, and he got convicted and
man.
everything. But he like went to my high school. It's crazy. Like lived down the street from me.
That is crazy.
But the other kind of sad and gross part is she lived alone and she had dogs, and no one knew. Like she didn't have any friends, and so she was in there for a long time before anyone even knew she had died.
Yeah.
And the smell started getting pretty bad that the neighbors called, and so it turns out she had like started decaying into like the floor and the carpet.
Oh my god.
And she had dogs, so they
That's
weren't
sick.
getting food anywhere else.
Oh.
So they started to eat her.
Oh my god.
So that is my creepy little story about my town, my
Idaho
neighbor.
Falls, man.
Idaho Falls got some spooky little weird stories. It's kind of a weird place.
Idaho.
If you're listening and you're from there, I know there's others that I can't think of, so write them in. But crazy like weird story that happened when I was in high school.
Yeah, that does sound like a crime junkie.
Yeah, I know.
It does.
I'm surprised I haven't done it. Because I've looked, or at least on the
really?
two that I listen to, they haven't done it, I don't think. But
Yeah. That's
maybe
crazy.
somebody else has. So another story.
A series of stories. I think it's trauma, actually, that I lived through with my brothers. Maybe why it's equally, I hate scary stuff, but I also like, it's like a 50-50 thing. So whatever side I'm like teetering on, and I think it is from my dad. Also, I grew up with 2 brothers, so they were scaring me all the time. But my dad, growing up, notoriously was called the Scary Fairy. I think he self-named himself that because he would scare, like, not just like, oh, I'm gonna jump out and scare you, or like, it was like let me tell you, elaborate. And this is like, I'm talking late elementary, junior high school. Like, like we're not adult children. We were young. My brother was still sleeping in my room at some of these. So he would like, if he would like watch a scary movie or something, there's multiple encounters of this. He would like go outside and shut the power off to the house and then go and like bang on the windows and like do stuff like that. He would one time, so like when I growing up, we had a 2-story, so their room was downstairs. All 3 of our rooms were upstairs. Yeah. And my younger brother would sleep in my room sometimes. But we all had view of like the middle and like this where the stairs came up. It's like that like weird time where you're like not asleep yet, but like almost, and we all are like hearing like this creepy clown music, like so subtly, like not like loud, but like so subtly. And like I'm a scaredy cat, he's a scaredy cat. My older brother gets down from his bunk bed and we're like all looking out. There's like this little glow outside, like by the stairs. It is my dad in his underwear playing. Remember when iTunes like had the 15-second clip of the soundbite, playing a clown, like creepy clown music sound, like 15-second, but over and over again, just for fun on a school night. Like, what are you doing? Another time, this one scarred me. This one, I actually went and slept in my parents' room this night and I still have, like, when you're trying to get to sleep and you wake up and your like eyes are adjusting, you're like, what am I looking at? Am I looking at a figure, a face? I don't know. So again, my eyes are not great. So I'm like sleeping. I open my eyes and they're adjusting. And what is in front of me is the face of a porcelain doll that I don't know what it was, why we had it. Porcelain doll just straight in my face. And my dad just laughs and runs off. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm telling you, I couldn't close my eyes after that because I just was imagining that the face was there. So like an hour later, I walked downstairs.
Look, this is your problem now.
I was like, Mom, Dad scared me. Now I can't sleep. So I'm sleeping in your room. I think he felt bad. But one time he like my brother was sleeping in my room and he was in his room and was like scratching the walls. Like just dumb stuff.
That's so demented.
One time they came home from seeing the movie The Strangers. Granted, we didn't see The Strangers. We're at home watching, I don't know, Shrek or something. He comes home, puts like The Stranger's mask on, like a t-shirt with eyes, and is like knocking on the door and knocking on the windows and with the mask on. I'm just like, I'm scarred. Like so I had a really hard time with sleep in my adolescent years, and I think it was because of that. So, and now, I power through, but
that's horrific. I would not do well.
No. I think I'm learning that it did traumatize me a little bit as I get older, but I love him. He loves to scare people.
Yeah.
But some of those were rough.
Some of those were pretty scary.
That
would scare me.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, that is kind of the Halloween episode. We want to, I think we're going to post maybe our favorite costumes. Yeah. Pictures of us in our favorite costumes. So you guys can post maybe your fave costume, tag us, and we'll repost it. I think my favorite costume growing up I was a fairy garden princess or a clown. Nice. Both great. I remember being a clown several years in a row because I loved it so much.
That's fun.
I have a cute picture of me.
I don't remember that many as a kid.
I mean, you weren't allowed to trick or treat, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't trick or treat. I was like a hippie one, like kind of in high school. Nice. Hippie. I did the 80s. 80s like workout. Classic. Girl. One time when I was really young, my best friend and I, we did like What?
Sorry, keep going.
We did like conjoined twins almost. We had like a big t-shirt.
That's sick.
Yeah, that was weird.
I forgot about my most iconic Halloweens were in high school. Me and my best friend Tristan every year would dress up as different Disney characters, and it was like a norm at my high school. Everyone was like, what are they going to dress up like this year?
You were
so we did
famous.
Ariel and Eric freshman year, we did Doug and Kevin our sophomore year, the Ugly Stepsisters our junior year,
nice.
And then senior year we were Mickey Mouse and Minnie, and it was the cutest costume ever.
Cute.
Love you, Tristan. Miss ya.
Oh,
Happy late birthday. I missed it. Anyway,
fun.
Post your fave costumes. I believe not next episode, but the episode after that is our worst first dates. So
yeah, keep
you can
them coming
to our Instagram, and there's an email thing that will directly send
easy.
you to our
it's
email.
So easy.
We made it so easy for you guys.
Easy for you.
We put in the time to figure it out.
Yeah.
So you could have
keep them coming. We've gotten some.
And then also in preparation for Thanksgiving, we're going to do family holiday fiascos. So if you have any crazy family holiday drama that's happened, write that in, because we do everybody loves to hear a good holiday drama story.
Absolutely.
So if anybody ruined a holiday, set anything on fire,
drag them
broke
through the
anything,
mud.
did anything like that, that's funny.
Just
now.
kidding.
Go ahead and write it on in. But thank you guys for listening.
Thank you so much.
Leave us a review. It does help the pod. Me and Asia, though, have a great time doing this, and
we really do.
Always,
and we hope it brings you joy.
It means
a
lot
smile,
to hear
a laugh. Yeah.
when you guys say that you like it. So
yeah,
we're doing it for the small crowd right now.
That's what
we're
it
doing
is.
it for the loyal fans. But thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
See ya.